Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 18th, 2026 meeting of the Milton Budget Coordination Committee. We're kind of kicking off tonight with the FY28 planning cycle, which is exciting. We have some new members of the committee. And we are going to review the upcoming budget development schedule and process that's laid out in the documents that you each have. So we are going to review the calendar, the FY26 closeout, and have a little bit of discussion among the members. We don't have too much in terms of action to take tonight. But this is kind of time for everybody to ask questions about what to expect from the group as we move forward with the steps of developing the budget for next fiscal year. So we can welcome, we have two new members. We have Nick Tagney and Jimmy Sternus. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Stenaris.
Sorry.
Okay.
So Jimmy, do you want to go first and say hi and kind of introduce yourself and your role on the warrant committee?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jimmy Stenaris. Been a Milton resident for about five and a half years, and it's my first year on the warrant committee. What I focused on this year was the budget. Not a whole lot to assess this year. I'm hoping to get a lot more involved as the year progresses, or maybe even next year. But no, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Nick?
Yep, I'm Nick Tagney. I'm on the warrant committee this year for the second year. I'm a former town meeting member. I did that, I think, for 17 years. And I'm one of those crazy lifelong Milton residents and have known Maggie pretty much my whole life. So
Awesome.
For better or for worse, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Thanks for all your service to the town. Maggie, we'll just have Maggie and Nathan, and I'll say hi too.
So I'm Maggie Oldfield. I'm the rep from the planning board. So like Nick said, I'm a lifelong resident of Milton. I own a business here in town. I have two kids. My daughter is 25. She's a teacher here in town. And my son is 23 and he's a marine engineer who works on a ship in Louisiana. So he's in and out every other month. So I enjoy being active in town, and I'm open if anybody ever wants to reach out to me. I'll gladly listen to anybody. So thank you.
Nathan Hutto. I'm a member of the school committee, chair of the finance committee on the school committee, and the rep, or one of the reps from the school committee to the budget coordinating committee. I'm in my second year on school committee, been a town meeting member for a few years, have a couple of kids in schools. So happy to be here. Had a good experience last year on the committee and looking forward to this year's work.
And I'm Megan Haggerty. I'm a member of the select board, elected in 2025. And on the board, I chair the select board finance committee. I'm on this committee. I'm the chair of the budget coordination committee, and I'm also a member of the town capital committee. And last year, so this is the second year of this particular committee. We last year was our inaugural year, and basically what we do is we bring everybody together from the town staff to members of the various town boards and committees that have a hand in the budget development process, and we convene folks to discuss what's happening in the process overall and discuss how that's going and basically make recommendations on how we can improve things. And one of the major items that came out of last year's budget development process was that we collectively agreed and provided the feedback that the sooner we can begin the budget planning process as a town, both on the town side, school side, and get some revenue targets and spending targets out there by October would help the overall process so that warrant committee, select board, school committee can all have conversations necessary so that the select board and the town administrator can submit the recommended budget to the warrant committee by the end of the calendar year, so that the warrant committee can do the work that they need to do, because the warrant committee makes the recommendation for the budget to town meeting. So the goal is to just keep everybody talking and to basically keep daylight on how the budget process is going. So with that, I will ask the town administrator to talk about the FY 26 closeout and anything else he wants to bring up.
Sure, thank you. So we have been reporting this to the warrant committee and to the select board and others, but just to recap how we ended fiscal year 26, we had revenues in excess of budget, forecast of $4.2 million. That was driven by building permit fee revenue well over what was anticipated in the prior year of close to $950,000 in excess. Interest income was about $1 million over what we had budgeted. Motor vehicle excise tax about $875,000 over what we had budgeted. So, we had somewhat conservative revenue forecasts that we tried to stick to. But I will note that a lot of this is also, there's elements of one-time or at least not necessarily recurring revenue baked within each of these. For example, 3 building permits alone were about $700,000 of that $900,000 surplus. So these one-off large projects, of which there have been several around town, do contribute to swings in revenue positively, at least as they are permitted, and then we'll catch them up on the tax base as new growth as well. On the expenditure side, we had returned or spent about $1.8 million less than we had budgeted across all of the departments and budget accounts. One big piece of that is the fact that since the town unions did not agree to, or we have not yet reached agreement on new contracts with our town unions, the money that was set aside for collective bargaining expenses for new contracts went unspent. So while that turn back is nice to see in terms of savings, it is going to be spent. It's just a matter of once we reach agreement with some of the units, and then appreciate the departments that manage their budgets, and we had vacancies and turnover in various departments that contributed to underspending. So altogether about $4.2 million in revenue in excess of what we had budgeted, and we underspent the budget about $1.8 million. That's the overall town side report of what fiscal 26 looks like. We are closing the books now, preparing to submit everything that we need to submit to the state to get the free cash figure certified, which will be some amount to be determined in the future, but there's a calculation that has to be determined. We are hoping to have that done by end of September, end of October timeframe, and we'll report that out once it's there. So that's my report on fiscal 26.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Nick?
Yeah, so Nick, you said it was 1.8 underspent on revenue on the town side. What was it on the school side?
The schools, I believe, spent their, the schools typically spend their appropriation, although I know that they hit their targets in terms of trying to build stronger balances in some of their reserve balance accounts, but I don't want to speak beyond what I have. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, but my understanding is they hit some of their targets that they had been talking about throughout the year in terms of circuit breaker and some of their other reserves as well.
Okay, so they didn't have any
No turnbacks out of the town appropriation per se.
In terms of the overall picture for the schools in FY '26, would you say that this year was a better year than you've had the past several years in terms of spending, or
Yeah, I haven't seen
what you projected?
I haven't seen the Q4 quarterly report yet. But yeah, I mean, we stayed within our budget target and were able to build up the reserves Nick was talking about, were in particular the circuit breaker reserve and a couple of others, including our Milton Community Schools reserves and a couple of other smaller accounts. Those had been, largely depleted, so there was no buffer for us when we were hit with unpredictable costs. So that was, so I mean, we're in a much better position going into FY '27 than we have been in many years previously.
Okay. And do you think for this year coming up, I mean, I think this will probably take us into the budget calendar that we're looking at, but what do you anticipate for FY '28 planning? Will there be continued focus on building up reserves?
Yeah. So I was looking at the budget development schedule just to see kind of what's expected of us. And the superintendent and James, the new director of finance, and myself are meeting tomorrow to kind of, I'm sure that there have been conversations between Superintendent Phelan and James up to now, but to kind of kick off how we're imagining the budget development process for the schools for FY '28. We are still, I don't know what the number is in the circuit breaker reserve right now. It's always a little bit of a moving target. But if Katie Burke's predictions were Katie Blake, she's only been gone a month and I've already got her last name wrong. If her predictions are right, we're still below where we would like to be.
Yeah.
I don't think I would not characterize, we have a target we want to achieve in there over the course of the next coming years. And I think we will be, trying to make progress towards that target, which is equivalent. I think what we said was equivalent to a full year in circuit breaker. So we're still a little ways away from that. And I think we contributed in FY '27, FY '26, less than what we had initially imagined at the beginning of the year, but still made meaningful progress.
Okay.
Ask a question, how do you build up your reserves? So when you mentioned the community school, that you're building up that. So my understanding is that we are allowed to charge more. I think I might have brought this up before for fees. Are we building up that account with increasing the fees, or is that build up coming from like the budget?
It's Milton Community Schools is a self-sustaining operation. So all of what they spend, they earn. And so the buildup in the reserve is coming from, effectively profits from the community schools operations. So we did raise fees I don't know the finances of that program well enough to know is the profitability of that program and what's going into the reserve a function primarily of fees? Are there also cost controls that were put into place? It is an expensive program to run, and so that's why fees have to go up. I'm not totally sure on the balance of what's driving the profitability.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if we don't.
Is there a question on
yeah.
the screen? I'm not sure.
Sorry, that's
James.
James from
James,
schools.
he's the new director of finance.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Hey, James, we'll take your question here if you want to come off mute. Can you hear us? Oh. Hello?
He's probably planning on correcting something that I got
Yeah.
seriously wrong.
Is he?
Oh, there he is. We hear you now.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. James Malley, Director of Business, started July 1st, and I've been listening in and the questions. So we ended the fiscal year pretty strongly with a zero balance, basically. So not in the positive, not in the negative. And we did end the fiscal year with positive balances in our reserve accounts. And as Mark said, as Nathan said, there's the reserves are being built back, and the circuit breaker is in a much stronger position in FY27 than it was in the past. And as Nick said, as Nathan said, what Katie had projected in using for circuit breaker, I think we came in $1 million less than what we needed. And so again, the balances and the reserves are in the direction that they need to be, where they're being replenished. That includes community schools and the others.
Thank you.
Great.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Okay, so if we don't have anything else on FY26, I wanted to take the time tonight to just break out the master schedule that we had developed at the end of last fiscal year. Maggie and Nick, do you guys have copies?
Yep.
I don't know if the folks attending online have copies, but Nick Milano will send the document to you. So this document is something that we had collectively developed, thinking that this would help with high level understanding of what everybody's doing month by month, and where we're trying to land certain milestones, so that as each task or bit is passed off to the next committee, we have a clear understanding of where everybody is. So essentially for August, some of the work is already underway or is starting up with the school committee, town administrator, school committee superintendent, school staff, town administrator, and department heads. Folks are now at the staff level beginning the work of putting together funding priorities, having conversations about various scenarios that could happen in FY28. And people are basically building what they want to put in the budget, and forecasting, like what are we looking toward over the next year. So as we get to September, the warrant committee is going to be discussing subcommittee leads, and figuring out, when are the meetings going to be, communicating, what you all need from the rest of us to be able to do the work that you're going to be doing to unpack what is in the proposed budget. And then this committee is going to be talking about planned budget process improvements, and I think Amy's going to be reporting to the select board on prior fiscal year results. So what Nick was talking about earlier, how did FY26 wrap up, and what were those turnbacks? And by the end of the month in September, we should be submitting the free cash calculation to DOR. So I'm just going to pause there and see if anybody has any questions. If Nick, you want to add anything as well.
No, I think that sounds about right for what will be happening. All this is building towards some of the more key conversations in October, so this is all kind of preliminary work.
So the major milestones that we're trying to hit at this point are occurring in October, where Nick and Amy are going to communicate the revenue expense projection, and are going to be giving those budget targets to the department heads, select board, school committee, and warrant committee, right? That's where the rubber starts to meet the road, where everybody starts to learn, like, okay, this is what growth in the budget could look like this year. We will begin to have those conversations. Those aren't always easy conversations to have. But it's a very important dialogue because it basically sets the tone for everyone in terms of what means do they have to live within in terms of setting up their budget for the year. I think, are we still holding Budget 101 briefings?
That is something Mr. Walker has asked for us to do, so
Okay.
It's more of a less for the elected boards and committees and more an opportunity for the public to
Right.
learn.
Okay. So we will have work to do in discussing communication strategies. So folks here and anyone tuning in online can also feel free to suggest ways to accomplish that. What are good ways to communicate with the public as we go?
Yeah, so is that actual briefings with the different committees? Is that open session for the public, or what's the process of that?
I think we're talking more
works like?
about open session for the public, right? We had discussed last year that it's really important to bring folks in the town along with us. Again, this is getting at the transparency aspect of the work, where things have been tight over the past couple of years. Things are going to continue to be tight over the next several years coming up. Really making sure that everybody understands and has information at their fingertips as to what is going into the budget and how things are shaping up each step along the way.
So we kind of discussed that communication approach in October, or in October is when we want to start doing the communication, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we want to hold the 101 briefings in October. That's what I'm saying, right? Before the
Yeah.
budgeting process kicks off.
Yeah. So we also have on this calendar that warrant committee, subcommittees begin the research and preliminary reviews. So again, we want to make sure that the other boards are getting warrant committee what they need in order to be successful. And you guys are, should feel like we're a resource to support you in doing that.
I think the view of the warrant committee when we kind of regrouped at the end of last year was with regards to most of the budget items, I thought we felt that town departments did a really good job of providing a lot of transparency and insight in a really timely manner. I think the place the warrant committee would like to get more support and earlier information is on some of the non-budget related items, whether those are amendments to the town bylaws or the zoning boards.
Okay.
And a lot of that stuff I know comes before the fall town committee, and some of that might come more than once in the upcoming 12 months. But I think that was the place where I think we felt that we would like more information earlier.
Okay.
Certainly on the budget stuff, there were some, and I know here at this budget coordination committee, a lot of stuff was discussed and that was great. But the individual departments, I think our viewpoint at the end of last year was that was good information. It was on the other items we'd like to get maybe earlier information if we could.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we definitely want to continue the practice of getting the warrant committee information on what's happening with those departmental budgets as early as possible.
Yeah, we reached out to the different department heads. It was great. I mean, that worked out well. I don't want to say it was smooth sailing, but it worked really well. I think, like I said, the places that we felt there could be more opportunities for improvement were on the non-budget related items in the warrant.
Okay.
So and how much, so that's to me.
No, it's not.
Well, it's planning with own bylaws and stuff.
It was a lot of different groups.
Oh, yeah, but so how far in advance is it helpful for you guys to have,
Well,
like a month, 2 months, which,
2 months would probably be better. And I know it's challenging. It's not just you guys, because there's other committees involved too, like the sign bylaw committee last year, some of the stuff was changing up until the last second.
yeah, but that came through the planning board.
Okay, great.
So
So my bad then.
Yeah, which is
And
fine.
I recognize there's a lot of
Yeah.
debate and
Yeah.
community involvement to try to shape these things and
Yeah.
get them to be as great as possible.
But
So,
however, that's good to know, and maybe what we need to do is get find out who is your representative,
Yep.
and then reach out to them and have them
Yep.
come to
Yep.
our, public hearing
that's
on
great,
it.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, and then sort of the last notable item for October is that the Capital Improvement Planning Committee will receive the 5-year capital requests from departments, boards, and committees and begin to build that list of priorities on the capital side of the budget. Then in November, so we're gonna have a first planning session among the select board, finance committee, and school finance subcommittee. That'll be exciting, Nathan. And the objective of that will be to iron out issues between select board, what the town, I imagine this is gonna be on the end of what the town is able to commit in terms of revenue. How is that impacting potentially outcomes at the school level? The warrant committee is going to continue to do their research and preliminary budget discussions. I'm sure warrant committee will be looped into conversations among the select board and the school committee. The budget coordination committee is going to continue to monitor how things are going, among coordination and collaboration among everybody. We'll also have a second planning session among the select board and schools. Select board's also gonna end up holding the tax classification public hearing, submit the current fiscal year tax rate recap to the DOR. And then the capital improvement planning committee is gonna review the capital requests. Nick will make initial recommendations regarding free cash available for capital, which is an important part of the process to determine use of free cash in the next budget. So I don't know if folks have any questions about November. Okay,
My recollection is that,
I feel like this is the part we weren't doing until January,
oh,
if
for
I'm
sure,
honest.
for
Yeah.
sure. And so this would be a huge improvement, and I think a lot of things will have to go right in order to hit this
Yeah.
timeline. So I think, when I look at August through October, it feels like the work of this committee will be just making sure this work is getting done and deconflicting where it's not. This could be a lot of I don't know. It would be great to hit this schedule as we've laid it out. I think we should try to.
Yeah.
I also think we will have to be responsive in the moment if there's a lot of variables that have to swing our way in order to just meet this schedule.
Mhm. Yes, I
But
appreciate
we had planning
your-
session 1
yeah.
in January last year.
Yeah, right.
So this is an improvement no matter what.
Yeah. It's an experiment.
Yeah.
We're gonna see what we can do, and if we can't hit it exactly the way we want to, then we'll have data to explain why, and we can adjust accordingly. But again, as we move through these paces, we're gonna surface with this team as to how is it going, why is it working, why is it not working, again, to help support the collective, understand where we should be in what is possible. So then just heading into December, getting to the close of the calendar year, school committee is gonna try to complete their draft of the contingent and non-contingent budgets. Select board is all similarly going to draft the town's contingent and non-contingent budgets, which will encompass the school's budget. And then Nick will submit the draft contingent and non-contingent budget to the warrant committee by the close of business second Friday in December. That seems really, really aggressive. I think if we can get by December 31st, that will be a success. But
Bylaw requirement. I actually think
Okay.
it's December 1st and we never fixed that.
okay.
But we typically meet that in terms of providing all of the departmental budget reports and backups and requests, not necessarily a total complete town budget, but all of the requests of all departments with all of their backup and their information.
It's everything except the school, right? Or
The schools typically provide a preliminary
okay.
kind of sheet showing what they're requesting, but we are able generally to provide a full breakdown of all the departmental requests. Not
Okay.
necessarily our recommendations, but what the departments are requesting.
But we're trying to make this our recommendation.
We're trying to,
Yeah.
that's what the
That's the
tweak
big
is
thing
this year.
here. Yeah. So hopefully that will be able to facilitate true, the warrant committee hopefully can be comfortable beginning their reviews. And the warrant committee can begin to host the TA to provide warrant committee feedback on town and school budgets. And the warrant committee is gonna host school committee and superintendent to provide their feedback to the school's budget. So, I'm gonna stop there, because this is a very it's a much more aggressive schedule than we've had in the past. But again, as discussed last year, we hope that this will get us to a better place in terms of collective process and make things smoother and easier and more predictable moving forward.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to talking in October and not January, February.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if folks have any questions, comments, concerns.
I don't have any.
Doubts.
It's easy year. That's what we're hoping for, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a new year, full of optimism.
Yeah,
Right.
That's, set your goal.
back to school,
Mhm.
great expectations. Yeah, so more to come on this. And we are going to, so obviously we have a new meeting time that will work better for most schedules. So we've got the third Tuesday of the month, 7 p.m. Get us out of the Monday mornings at 8 a.m. We are going to be once a month throughout December, but then as things get busier, January through April, we will likely tack on a second meeting that will probably be all virtual. We don't have to determine the cadence for that second meeting yet, but that is something that we are planning to do, is have, once we get into budget season, we'll have 2 meetings a month. But we don't feel like it's necessary to do that at this point. So that's that. Do we have any other business, any other questions anyone wants to raise? Okay.
No.
Great. Well, here we go. We're being optimistic. headed into this next year, and we're gonna give it a go, and really appreciate the commitment that everybody's bringing to the table here. I think last year nobody was shy in terms of sharing concerns and issues and challenges, and I think we should all continue that practice of being really, really honest with each other, because that's what leads to a better process and improved outcomes. So I will take a motion to adjourn if anybody feels that that's warranted at this time.
So moved.
Second? Okay, all in favor? All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.